I don't know about you, but for me, one of the most difficult things for me to do is to wait upon God. It's just to wait on Him to open doors and to move. And I'm sure at one point in time or another, you've struggled with that as a believer as well, to wait on God's provision, to wait upon Him to give us direction, to wait on Him to, before we proceed forward with something, do we have peace in our heart, a directive from Him about what to do. And I was reminded in the Psalms this morning, in Psalm 27, verse 14 says, "Wait for the Lord. Be strong and let your heart take courage. Yes, wait for the Lord." And those are comforting words in a day where we can have things so quickly. Sometimes God doesn't operate that quickly in our lives. He takes His time. He wants to mold and shape our character and do those things. You and I live in a generation where we can have things really fast. We can take a credit card and go swipe it and get all new furniture and do all kinds of things. Maybe put a vacation on there instead of waiting and saving the money, or waiting on God to provide for that. We just presume upon Him and go ahead and do those things. But it is difficult for you and I to wait upon God. But I want to submit to you today that we need to. We need to wait on God. His direction, His provision, and all of those things. As difficult as that may seem, I believe you and I, when we run ahead of God, we bring difficulty into our lives, and we also miss the blessing of waiting upon God and seeing how He's going to do it, how He's going to provide. I could tell you numerous times where we in this ministry have had to wait on God for finances and resources. One time this last fall, we waited upon Him in a certain situation that we had, and we needed about $7,300 in a matter of just a few days, and we just prayed and asked God to supply that need, and we had $7,375 at the end of a 2-week period that God provided for me to be able to take a trip to India and do some other things with those resources that we needed. I've remembered times that my wife and I have prayed for vehicles and cars and things that we've needed and waited upon God to do that, and He has provided every time we've needed it. He's never been late. And so I want to encourage you today, instead of running ahead of God, instead of getting out in front of Him, I want to encourage you today to wait on God to open the right door, to open the right window, to move circumstances and situations in His providential care for you. He loves you. He has a plan for you, and He wants you to wait on Him, and He wants you to wait with expectancy. He wants you to wait actively, that you obey the things you know you ought to be doing, but yet you're waiting upon Him for provision and to do the things that you need done now in your life. And I want to encourage you, just as the psalmist does in Psalm 27, that you and I are to wait upon the Lord.